Welcome to the all-new Didcot podcast, your weekly roundup of everything Didcot and beyond. Join Charlie and Giselle as we dive into the topics that matter, from the latest headlines to the hottest talking points. This is your one-stop shop for everything you need to know. This is the Didcot podcast with Charlie and Giselle.
Hello and welcome to the Didcot podcast with me, Giselle, and my good friend, Charlie.
Hello.
Friend and
nothing, just friend.
Friend and colleague.
We're friends. Come on, why can't I just be your friend?
Fellow podcaster.
Giselle, we're friends.
You're now an official podcaster.
It's like the Wolf of Wall Street where we're not going to be friends, are we?
I don't want to be your friend anymore. You're going to get on my nerves, I reckon. Hello, how are you?
We've been practicing our hellos, haven't we, Giselle?
Oh my gosh, I've been getting a right lecture on how I say hello. Apparently my intonation isn't right.
Giselle?
Yes?
I know this is a thing that's very close to your heart because you live very close to it. Mm-hmm. I know it's something that you've been looking into, and it's obviously a really big project that's going on, and a lot of people are talking about it in Didcot. But can you please explain to me in a funny, interesting, pacey kind of way about the Hive One?
Really what it is there will be a dual carriageway built from sort of where Milton Park, McDonald's, Costrell, that is a bit of the way down that road. Then it will cut across to one of the roundabouts near as you're heading towards Lady Grove, and then it will cut out across the villages and go over the rivers. And the idea is to take a lot of traffic away from Didcot because it's
Just
cramped.
tell us if it's good or bad.
In my opinion... it's not for me to say whether it's good or bad, but in my opinion, I think it will be good because I have to travel to Abingdon every day for work, and it is a nightmare.
I don't want to rain on your parade, but Greg O'Brien, who is the co-chair of the Oxfordshire Roads Action Alliance, he said, and I quote, "It's going to be crap."
I don't think he said
No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that at all. Sorry, he didn't say that.
That would be quite funny if he had
I'll tell you what he
said
did say, though. He did say... the HIF 1 is a legacy scheme that's not fit for purpose. It lacks ambition for the 21st century solution for the future. And one of the things that he said reading on through the thing that I read was basically, it's a £400 million project.
Yeah.
He doesn't think, or they don't think it's going to work. They think it's well out of date. It's a legacy project, they call it. So this is probably an idea that they had back in 2008 when they were talking about building doctor surgeries on the Great Western Park.
Right.
Yeah. But one of the things that they do raise is that actually building stuff over a railway line is super costly. Mm-hmm. So...
Well, hang on a minute. The council actually declined their own planning application originally, didn't they? And then it went to the Secretary of State or whoever it was in the government, and they said, oh, no, it can go ahead.
So Judy Roberts, who's the Oxfordshire County Council Cabinet Member for Travel and Development Strategy, she said the work is a big step forward tackling congestion in Didcot and the surrounding villages.
Yeah, it looks like it will do that, I would have thought. But I guess it's true to say that probably since that plan was put together, there have been a shed ton of new houses. What does HIF 1 stand for, Charlie?
Oh, man, it stands for...
You don't know, do you?
I don't know.
Do you want me to tell you?
I know you learnt this. Go on then.
I didn't learn it. I just knew it.
I know you've learned. You don't just know it.
Yeah, I did. I just knew it.
Go on. What is it?
Hang on a minute.
You don't know?
I do know.
Honestly.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, or drop us an email at thedidcotpodcast@gmail.com.
I'm sat here with Charlie's electric throw over me, and it's revolutionary for me because I've never had one before, and it's keeping me nice and snug, which is essential because is it not absolutely freezing at the moment? Actually, the other night I'd just come out of a restaurant in Didcot and I had to sit in my car for about 10 minutes just to unfreeze it because it was that cold. It was horrific. But yeah, we went out to Zagana's, me and my mum friends.
Mum friends?
I have friends, Charlie. Yes, some of us
Really?
do. We don't all hobbit away in our little houses, like pretending the world doesn't exist and being
You've
miserable.
been keeping this massive fact from me that you've got mum friends. What are mum friends?
They're actually friends that I met when I first became pregnant, and we met at like NCT classes and at Aquanatal that we used to do at Didcot Wave, and we've been friends ever since. We went to Zagana's in Didcot, which is like one of my favourite restaurants.
Place,
yeah, it's so good. Oh my gosh,
Really?
the food there. I've been there so many times. The food is amazing. But I said to my friends, you know, what's important to you guys? Like, what do you think are the big issues for Didcot at the moment? They said exactly what I had been thinking. Didcot doesn't have enough doctors' surgeries. It's so hard to get an appointment at the moment. I'm at the Oak Tree Health Centre. It's just an absolute nightmare. I know it's a national problem, but it is particularly bad in Didcot because of all the building they're doing, building of housing, which just continues on and on and on.
Isn't there a lack of doctor surgeries in somewhere like Great Western?
They haven't even got one.
What's the opposite of a mum friend for a man?
A dad friend?
A chum friend.
A dad
Me and my
friend.
chum friends, we talk about infrastructure.
Your mates. Why don't you say me and my mates?
We talk about infrastructure, and Didcot
Do you
obviously...
actually talk about infrastructure?
No. 2008, planning for Great Western came about, where they promised to have a doctor's surgery. We're now in 2025, and they still haven't got any streetlights, let alone a doctor's surgery.
It's crazy.
So I say not any streetlights, but some of the roads, they don't have street lighting. And when you build a big housing estate with 5,000 houses on it, whatever...
Oh, I think I know what you're going to say. Is it because I work at an estate agents, and obviously we deal with solicitors sometimes for sales progression.
Do you work in an estate? You never mention it.
Because I do that.
A bit like your mum friends that you also never mentioned. This is imaginary Giselle.
Wow.
Told you, keep it real, Giselle. Keep it real.
I literally work at an estate agents. But anyway, is it about adoption of roads by any chance?
It is kind of, yeah. I mean, it's like it's an ironic thing where Great Western is a really good example of a place where it's not really been fully completed yet. So there are places that don't have any street lighting, and when you think that when you haven't got street lighting, you'd complain to the SODC, and if you ring up the SODC, they'll say, well, they're not our roads because we don't actually own them yet. So when you build a housing estate, it's on private land. So until the SODC decide that they control that land, it's private land, which means that the property developers still own it.
It's crazy. I mean, I think we've still got the same number of doctor's surgeries before all those houses were even built.
Parking, for example, is another really good one. In that actually, the council controls the parking, the drains, the water, all of that sort of stuff, the broadband, and make sure everything works nicely. And we all live in a world where things work. If a property developer still owns the land, they don't care about that sort of stuff. Like I said, Great Western, the planning for Great Western went in 2008. It's now 2025. The idea was that they build all these houses, put a load of people in them, and then they give them a doctor's surgery.
Well, at least it's got schools now.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, or drop us an email at thedidcotpodcast@gmail.com.
Have you heard about Aureus School?
Yes, I have, actually. Because
what a great little story that is.
It is, because it wasn't doing so well if you listened or read all the sort of Ofsted kind of stuff about it. And now... since a new headmistress has come in, everyone's saying,
Kirsty Rogers.
Is she a friend of yours?
She's done it. Huh?
She a friend of yours?
No, I'm just reading her name now.
Oh, right, okay. She appears to have done amazing things. No, she's not, sadly.
Are you sure?
No, she's not. But I have got mum friends that... I've even got a mum friend that works at the school, funnily enough, and a man friend that works at the school. But yeah, all my friends that have got children at the school are saying amazing things about that head teacher.
Yeah, she's obviously done an amazing job. She sounds like she's turned it around in a fairly short space of time. Her style of teaching is warm, strict.
Oh, I like that.
That's it. I like that as well.
I think I'm
she's
like that.
She's not
Don't you
overly
think?
disciplinarian. Yeah, I know a lot about
strict.
teaching as well, and mum friends.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's obviously done a really good job. It's a really nice little story, and that school sounds like it's gonna, doing really, really well now. So that's good.
And interestingly, as I say, I work at estate agents. Not that I've mentioned that before, but I am now having quite a lot of people that contact us. We do get a lot of people moving here from London, for example, and they are now asking specifically for Great Western Park because they want their children to go to Aureus School.
Yeah, I can believe that. Yeah, I mean, lots of people move to go to places where they can get their kids into decent schools.
I have had in the past, a lot of people would choose Didcot because of the rail links to London. Like, you can literally get a train in 37 minutes to London. But now a lot of people are talking about the schools. Didcot Girls School's always had a really good reputation. But now I am seeing this influx of people saying Aureus School as well. Get me on Great Western Park.
What sort of people... Giselle's an estate agent, if anybody hadn't realised it. She doesn't like to talk about it. When you're estate agenting, what kind of people do you get coming into Didcot from London?
Absolutely everyone. Predominantly is professionals and families, I would say. So a lot of people that want to be a little bit more rural. So for people that have grown up in London or lived in London for a long time, they see Didcot as super rural. And also they can still get to London. A lot of people work from home a lot more, but they might need to go into the office once or twice a week.
I'm just writing into ChatGPT at the moment. Is Didcot super rural?
Oh my God.
You've really
spinning
like,
them a line.
Oh yeah, Didcot, yeah.
What was that guy that
It's
used
like
to...
rural community sort of area with streams and kingfishers and otters and things like that.
That's what they say to me. So I ask them. I never say this is... I don't need to sell. They tell me what they're looking for and why they want the area, because that's one of the questions I'll always say. What brings you to Didcot? Because I want to know.
How is life in the old estate agency business at the moment?
It is busy, which it often is at this time of year, because a lot of people have been together over Christmas and decided they haven't got enough space, or dare I say, divorcing.
Really?
Yeah, sadly, yeah. But it's mainly people have planned to move sort of at the back end of last year, but put it off because of Christmas. And now they've decided, okay, spring's coming, let's get this done. Also, there's stamp duty changes coming up in April. So a lot of people are thinking, let's get it done before that. I mean, to be honest, if you were to put your house on the market today, you'd be unlikely to get it sold before that now. But yeah, so loads of people coming to sell their houses and more people looking to move. We've been really busy recently, more busy than normal for this time of year.
There can't be many places with a more competitive, thriving property market than Didcot.
In what way? How do you mean?
Well, just... it's full of people, rammed to the gunnels with people, loads of new housing,
Tons.
people moving in and moving out all the time. There's so much industry that brings people in for 6 months or 9 months or 2 years or whatever. People moving out from London. It must be, Didcot is thriving because it's in a position where it's right in the middle of the south of England. It's got amazing transport links, amazing road links. Do you know what I mean? It's going to thrive for that reason. But surely the knock-on effect of that is that the property market is enormous and very, very fluid.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, during COVID, for example, the prices of properties in Didcot went up massively. And it was all those reasons that I said about people coming here and they don't need to go into London as much. It's a bit more rural than London, et cetera, et cetera. It really massively pushed the prices up. They've evened out a bit now. It's all calmed down. But it never fails to surprise me how popular this area is.
I'm just going to try and stop you telling people that you're an estate agent just for a couple of minutes, if that's all right.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, or drop us an email at thedidcotpodcast@gmail.com.
My daughter, who's only 13, did work experience recently. So Didcot Girls School now do work experience for 13-year-olds. I think that's really young for them to be making those kind of choices, although my daughter seems to have a really strong idea about what she wants to do when she's older. She didn't end up doing something along those lines, but she did end up doing it at the Little Fishes Nursery. She had an amazing time. She got to work with tiny little babies up until like 3-year-olds. They were so accommodating. They actually have a job opportunity there now at the nursery. So if you're interested, get in touch with the Little Fishes Nursery.
What is it they say about working with children and animals?
Don't work with them.
If it wasn't for work experience, I wouldn't have become the successful podcaster that I am now.
Is that true? I don't
Honestly,
think you
Wallingford
did.
School. So when I was 13, I went to Wallingford School and I didn't like them and they didn't really like me.
Right.
So I went on work experience as you do normally when you're 13. I went and worked for a film editor in Soho.
Oh, that's a cool work experience.
It was really cool. Yeah, it was
wow.
really cool. Yeah. And over the next year, Wallingford School were like, well, you really like that thing. If you want to go and do some more of that, then you can. So I did. I started going up there regularly, once a week, then twice a week, then 3 times a week. And then by the time I was 14, 15, I was working there full time. I had to go to Wallingford School, I think, once every 2 weeks or something, and register to let them know I was still alive.
I never knew that.
Yeah, so I was working full time in Soho by the time when I was 14.
Wow.
And that got me into the TV business, obviously. Then I went and became a freelance runner when I was 16.
Was that even legal?
Well, it was work experience. He paid for my train fare and my food, and I went up and down. I didn't travel on my own. My sister was working up there at the same time and working for a production company, who I then went on to work with because I'd been working for an editor.
Yeah.
And my career went from there when it got into film and TV and so on and so forth. But it was all because Wallingford School got me into doing work experience, and then they realised that actually I was a lot better off. This is a really good opportunity for me than what I was going to achieve at school, which was going to be nothing, basically, the way I was going. And that's it. Yeah, so work experience, really, really important. And that's all I have to say about that.
Picking up on that, do you know what? So I put on my work experience form that I would like to work at in media. I knew I wanted to be a journalist when I was 14, so I put like all the local newspapers, for example. Do you know where I ended up going?
No.
Topshop. What did I end up doing? I ended up hanging up clothes and putting labels on them.
Well, that's the sad thing that for me. I've spoken to a few other parents recently. People have asked me whether I can get their kid into TV for work experience, and my own child for that matter. And that's the sad thing, is that you can't now, because health and safety and insurances mean that you can't take your kid to school. Basically, my dad used to take me up to, I remember when I was a kid, literally really young, like 5, 6, 7 years old. My dad was a film editor, so he used to work at Pinewood all the time. So he used to take me up there.
That's like, wow. How cool is that your dad did that and you got to do that as a kid?
It was really cool because I used to get dumped off. It was the 1970s, yeah.
Jeez.
So he would be working as an editor and I'd just be roaming around Pinewood Studio. So I'd be up on the James Bond set there.
That's nuts.
Just kicking things around.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, or drop us an email at thedidcotpodcast@gmail.com.
Giselle, Allergy are playing at the Didcot Town Football Club at the 1907 on Saturday, the 8th of February. And I wondered if you wanted to take me to it.
Do I have to pay?
Yeah, tickets are £10 plus a booking fee, and you can get them on Eventbrite.
Oh, that's actually very reasonable.
That's very reasonable. I love a bit of...
Especially when the other day parent guilt. So my daughter really wanted to see Oasis. She's 13. She wanted to see Oasis. I was like, no way. It's way too expensive. And then parent guilt came in, and then Lana Del Rey tickets were released. And so parent guilt made me sit on the phone for about an hour trying to get tickets. And I ended up paying about the same price as Oasis tickets. It was nearly £400.
Are you going to see Lana Del Rey?
Yeah, in Cardiff.
Really?
Yeah. It will be amazing. I mean, it will be amazing. It will be a proper mummy-daughter weekend thing. So
nice.
it will be really sweet.
Amazing. Well, if that's not exciting enough for you, then I'm happy to go and see Allergy with you at the Didcot Town Football Club. £10. Have you got £10?
No, I have no money because it's been Christmas and I'm skint.
Okay.
I saw on one of the Facebook pages the other day, like loads of girls are playing football now after we had the women do so well in the football nationally.
Just quick, is football the one with the round?
Yeah, you're not a big football person, are you?
Not the egg.
No, it's definitely round.
Okay.
They're going to have an under-7 girls team at Blueberry Amazons Girls Football Club, it will be called, and training's going to be at the Blueberry Recreation Ground by the looks of things.
Women's football is massive.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's great.
Is that all because of the World Cup? Because they made a Women's World Cup?
I think it is, yeah, because suddenly all the girls that were in Kylan's class at primary suddenly want to play football, and they're doing so well. Yeah, some of them are playing for Oxford now. Yeah. It's amazing. Do you like looking at the sky at night or in the day even? You probably like looking at the stars and pointing them out to the ladies and giving them a kiss.
Only when I'm on Whitnam Clumps.
Yeah, this isn't at Whitnam Clumps, but at the Rutherford Appleton Laboratory, which I always really struggle to say. They're going to do a stargazing event. It's on Friday the 24th of January. They've done it before. It's been really popular. But you get like an expert there and they'll talk about the diamond light source.
Is it Brian Cox?
I don't think it would be Brian Cox. That would be amazing. But they do things like all about meteorites, about robots, about how, they do like activities like comet making, that kind of thing. So it's a really nice thing for kids.
Is it Brian May?
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, or drop us an email at thedidcotpodcast@gmail.com.
A situation has arisen on Valley Park, which is a development for 4,254 properties. And the Didcot Town Council have come along and said, you can't let people move into these houses until Thames Water have sorted out the infrastructure. It says in the press release that a new phase of the scheme is known as Dahlia View.
Oh,
and includes
Dahlia
281
View,
houses. What?
Dahlia View.
Dahlia View.
Dahlia.
Dahlia.
No.
Monty Don says Dahlia.
We're talking about the type of flower, right? It's
Monty
Dahlia.
Don.
Actually, hang on a minute. If Monty Don says it must be right. And does that mean I've got it wrong my whole life?
Well, I made it up anyway.
That's
but anyway,
embarrassing.
Dahlia. You say potato, I say potato.
Yeah.
Anyway, what they're saying is Didcot Town Council has made comments on the latest phase of the huge Valley Park development. There are growing calls for a condition preventing people from moving into homes. You can't live on a housing estate if you don't have
water.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Going in and coming out as well.
Yeah.
So I think this is a bit of a problem, and this is going to become a real problem because there's that much building going on in Didcot that if they're going to stop property developers from from letting people move in because Thames Water are so far behind with bringing in the water infrastructure, that could be a massive problem. The reason I get quite annoyed about it is they've also, so for example,
you wouldn't know, Charlie. You can't tell when you're annoyed.
On Milton Park, they can get things planned in 10 days.
What do you mean?
Well, they've changed the planning law. Okay, I'll read it out to you. Planning approval for laboratories and offices at an Oxfordshire Science Park will take just 10 days following a new agreement. We're going to have data centres like you can't believe in Didcot because they can plug them straight into Didcot Power Station. That's the whole point. You can actually have
Is that an actual thing?
Yeah.
Really?
100%.
We need to talk about data centres because I don't know that much about them.
Hang on, whoa. You said to me about me being boring and saying boring things about infrastructure, and you just said we need to talk about data centres.
True. That is a very fair point, but I don't really know much about them.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing people need to know is that data centres are incredibly important. I mean, data is the lifeblood of the planet. So all that blood has to be stored somewhere and it's put into data centres. So they are incredibly important to the world.
Okay.
What people might not be aware of is the environmental impact that they have. I mean, they use an enormous amount of electricity. A big data centre will use the same amount of electricity as a small town.
Wow.
They also use huge amounts of water to keep the computers cool.
Yeah.
And they also create quite a bit of e-waste.
What do you mean?
People might not have heard of e-waste before, but
okay.
Nearly 70% of the toxic heavy metals in landfill are created by e-waste. And these chemicals, they can seep down into the groundwater and eventually get into our water system, which is obviously very bad. We're going to build a £1.9 billion one on the old site of the Didcot Power Station.
Yeah.
But they're also, the government have changed the law saying we need more. So basically, because England is in such a dire need of anything, because we've sold all of our industry and we've got nothing, we don't make anything, we don't create anything apart from obviously money laundering in the city.
Here we go.
The government have cottoned on to the fact that actually what we can do is we can build loads of data centres. What data centres mean for the community is hard to tell, really. I mean, they do use a lot of water. Some of them use hundreds of thousands of gallons of water a day, yeah?
Water stress?
And what's water stress, Giselle?
Well, you told me
Stop
earlier.
nicking my stuff.
See, I'm learning.
So water stress is saying we are currently in dire straits with Thames Water, who are basically filling our rivers with with untreated sewage.
Okay, we can't say that.
Why not?
We definitely can't say that.
What, the Thames Water are filling our rivers with untreated sewage?
Yeah, we can't say that.
But they are. We know that.
But you'd have to be able to prove that, otherwise
I can prove it. I'll take you down to the river, test it, and it'll be full of sewage. I've taken my own video from a sewage outflow just up the road from where I live in Wallingford of just brown, untreated sewage going straight into the river. By the way,
that's gross.
When you then look at Didcot and you look at all the planning going on in Didcot, including a £1.9 billion data centre, they're changing the planning laws at Milton Park so they can build more stuff, blah, blah, blah. So much building and very little thought for the infrastructure for it's all well and good to come in and buy a piece of land and then say we're going to build a data centre and then they all go off and run off and live in the Maldives. But actually, like the people on Great Western who don't have a doctor's surgery and street lighting, it's putting a loading. Every time you build something, it puts more of a loading on the infrastructure. So if that infrastructure is not working already, if you carry on building on top of it, it's just going to make the problem worse.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, or drop us an email at thedidcotpodcast@gmail.com.
I've had enough of infrastructure. Can we talk about something else? Can we talk about netball?
Do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about netball.
What about blue-green infrastructure?
No,
poisonings.
Charlie.
Cat poisonings?
No, we are... Look, can we just do something a little bit happier for a moment?
Go on.
You know, I play netball. I used to play in the league. That is very competitive netball.
I know someone else who plays netball in Didcot, and it is very competitive.
I just think it is quite a competitive sport. But anyway, there's this other league that has started up. It's like a private company kind of thing, but it's so much more friendly, and it's still got some competitive edge, but it's more about making friends, keeping fit, and having a really good time. And when they first launched it in Didcot, I think it must have been about a year ago now, and it was launched at Didcot Girls School. Oh my gosh, so many people turned up.
Really?
Like the people that run this netball league said it was one of the most successful launches they've had. And we had this photo, and I don't know, there must have been more than 100 of us. Anyway, there's still a load. There's probably about 10 teams, and we play each other every week. But some people have now dropped out. So if you are interested in doing something that's for your fitness, quite fun, a little bit competitive, but not crazy competitive, then do get in touch with the Didcot podcast at gmail.com, and I can send you the details so that you can come along. It's now actually held at Aureus School on Great Western Park, and it's every Monday night.
Can I talk about something positive?
No. Because your positive is still negative.
No, you're like this. This
Okay.
really is positive.
Go on.
So there's a scheme being launched to extend...
If this is anything to do with houses, roads, schools, or doctor's surgeries, it's a no, okay? Is it any of those things?
Sort of.
Oh, no, Charlie.
Well, it's
no.
leisure. It's about leisure.
Okay.
Sort of like
Go on
leisure,
then.
loosely veiled as leisure. Well, no, basically, it's a really cool thing. They're going to make cycle pathways between, they're going to link up all the towns.
It's infrastructure. It is like this. It's so infrastructure.
Yeah, but like I live in Wallingford, yeah, and I would love to cycle to Didcot, but there's no flipping way I'm cycling up round Haddon Hill and through the curves and the bends. 'cause that's
I've actually got a friend. Actually, it's not a friend. Not everyone's my
Mum
friend.
friend.
It is like a mum. It's a school-run person who cycles from Didcot to Abingdon every day.
down the A34.
Not, can you imagine? No, she goes the back roads. I didn't even know there was like a way that you could kind of do that on a bike safely, but she cycles there and back for work every day. I think that's amazing.
There's a new scheme coming out at government level that's going to link up all the towns with what they're called. They're saying either cycle paths or roads that have been widened to have a cycle lane in it. Mm-hmm. So I've been looking at the map. There's a map. I could put it on the Didcot podcast group.
Yeah, put it on our
If I
Facebook
wanted
page
to.
or our
Yeah, I will
Instagram
do. I'll put it
page
on there.
or any of those
But
socially
it's quite interesting
media.
because it does, there's a big link up between obviously Wallingford and Didcot, and then Didcot to Culham to Chargrove, and then Culham into, through Aberdeen into Oxford. So basically, you will actually be able to cycle in safety between all the towns and villages around here, well, not the villages, but all the towns around here.
Okay, that would be
Chelsea.
really nice.
It'd be really cool. I mean, there's even it's a different colour, this one, so I don't know what that means, but there's one from Goring to Didcot, which actually, it just makes sense.
Do you know what? I have to say about cycling. I know you love your bikes. I know you.
Dikes. I love dikes. Giselle,
I know
not
you
bikes.
love your bikes.
I love dikes.
I know you and your boys, your two
Obviously,
boys.
The water table things for distributing water evenly over a landscape, those sort of dikes.
Oh, yes, that's what I thought you meant.
I've got an interesting bit of news that nobody knows.
Is it interesting?
It is if you like.
Can we put money on it?
Okay, Harley Davidson are now going to go down the road of electric motorcycles, yeah, which is quite funny, really, because you won't see, Hell's Angel on a little green...
a silent, massive motorbike.
Yeah, when you see Thor with the big horns coming out of his thing,
Excellent.
and plugging him in, right? It doesn't.
Oh my
anyway,
gosh!
So there's a bit of news about that, but I've heard on not very good authority at all, but I heard of. But someone
is this gossip?
Someone who knows it is gossip, yeah.
Okay.
But someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows, yeah. Says that Harley Davidson are thinking about moving their electrical motorcycle manufacturing operation to Didcot.
Oh, okay.
To Milton Park.
Well, if this doesn't work out, this podcast, maybe you can go and get a job there.
There's something else I want to talk about.
Oh my gosh, it better not be infrastructure.
No, it's not.
Okay, it better be something nice. Happy.
Cat poisonings in Harwell.
Oh no, that is actually really horrible. But we
It's
should
really
talk
sad. Have you
about
heard
it.
about this?
Yes, it's horrific.
I know
I'm not a big cat or dog person, but I cannot
You're more into
stand.
rabbits, aren't you?
I've got 4 rabbits.
4?
Yeah. I thought we bought 2 girls. Apparently not, because we woke up on Christmas Eve with a whole load of babies, and obviously the children had to keep a couple of those. So now we have 4. Yeah.
Right, well, that's it from us. Well done, Giselle. Thank you very much for your time this evening. And if anybody's got anything to say, if there's something you agree with, don't agree with, just write into us about anything. This podcast is always going to drop on a Friday morning, so you can listen to it at your leisure, whatever you're doing. Make sure you have a listen, make sure you're subscribed, and make sure you tell your friends.
And thank you.
And thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's a wrap for this week's episode of the Didcot podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. We've had a great time sharing the news, views, and plenty of chat from Didcot and beyond. If you enjoyed the episode, please help us spread the word. And we want to hear from you. Talk to us about literally anything. Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, or drop us an email at thedidcotpodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, stay connected, stay curious, and we'll see you soon on the Didcot podcast with Charlie and Giselle.